Caesar. For me, Caesar was and is only him, the great Trajan. As I was saying, Caesar had sent for me. I remember it perfectly. It was a windy day, and in his big villa in Centum Cellae, spring was sneaking its still unripe smells through the open windows overlooking the Gulf. I remember our conversation. "Apollodorus," he said to me. Of course, I haven't introduced myself. My name is Apollodorus of Damascus, the greatest architect in the empire. And so Caesar said to me, "You served me so well at the very outer limits, at the frontier between us and the land of nowhere, building the bridge over the murky Danube for our legions. Now I am in need of your services once again. Rome cannot allow itself to put its fleet at risk whilst in port, leaving it at the mercy of the first storm as happened in Ostia. 200 vessels going down with their loads was too high a price to pay. And Rome cannot rely on ports such as the Hexagon, which every year fill with earth. The empire needs a port in the rock, protected in deep waters, a port that will become the symbol of our naval and merchant power. Ancient or modern history, looking back at Centum Cellae now, almost 2,000 years after Trajan was summoned, in the year that you call 102 AD, I ask myself the same question. Is not my Caesar's intuition from then perhaps still valid today? It has been in the long cavalcade in history that this port lived through from the magnificence of the Roman Empire to that of the papal Rome. It is today, now that giants of the sea against which Hercules could have done nothing slice through the waters and enter bringing passengers. And tomorrow, even large boxes, containers that have ousted our amphorae. Sheltering in that great breakwater that I designed, one of the Mediterranean's safest havens. But let's not rush. The story of that which Caesar wanted on this coast is in itself a site of world heritage. It is the history of the Mediterranean itself, of the trade in spices, of the battles, but also of the meeting of civilizations, of so many men who on these waters met and, at times, managed to germinate the seed of that peace, which for the empire was always a utopia. It's true, you're right. For centuries after, it was still important for the cousins of Byzantium, Centum Cellae. It is said was called just that because of its 100 rupellary bights of its rocky coast, or perhaps because of the 100 rooms in Trajan's villa was for centuries just ruins. Even Trajan's villa and its thermal spas, which from the top of these hills still look down on us, were abandoned and plundered by Saracen pirates. But it was this place's natural destiny that it would become a great port, a city, affirmed the Historia, that as far as its position is concerned, must with all truthfulness call itself the best of the church-state. Because in itself it can bring back part of the core name of the power of Rome and its great treasures, by means of navigation, trade, and the art of waging war at sea and maintaining that of waging war on land. Rome's great new power, the spiritual and earthly state of Christianity, had understood this immediately. The port that I reiterate, Apollodorus of Damascus designed and built, is still there, intact in all its great works, even if it has now seemingly fallen into decay. The popes understood this right away. It was to this place that they summoned engineers and architects, the great and the greatest, perhaps not like me, but really important men Bramante, Michelangelo Buonarroti, Antonio da Sangallo, Bernini, and Vanvitelli. Century after century, every pope left his own mark, and the mark of the Lord's power on earth. To the east, Michelangelo's keep and Bernini's arsenal. Towards the city, rebuilt on the pattern of a Roman cardo, the embattled wall of Urban VIII with the fountain of Vanvitelli. To the west, the walls of the stronghold, with the quadrangular tower of Callistus III. On the breakwater, where the Roman towers stood, there is the redoubt, built on the order of Gregory XVI, and the lighthouse which, after 3 centuries, still shows ships the safest haven in the Middle Tyrrhenian. History has slipped into the waters of the port like sand trickles through the inexperienced fingers of a child, but it's all here, in the past, in the present, and in the future. I am told that every day the excavations in Trajan's old dockyard are unearthing the remains of Roman villas and temples, of ships that had been sunk with their loads during the years of brutality, which were to be repeated again as recently as 60 years ago, with the great bombardments of the city. I'm willing to bet that the great bronze statue of Neptune is still down there, on the seabed, 4 meters tall, and a symbol of the union between the empire and the sea. But I know too that the dream, Trajan's great dream, lives on, that almost 3 million men, so much for our legions, every year from the quaysides of this port reach the Roman Forum and the capital of Christianity. That great works will overlap in continuity with the old, to seal a Mediterranean pact that perhaps not even Poseidon could have written better. That this port is always, and in any case the only one, because it has been Rome's port for 2,000 years. It is like a diamond in the rock that is now preparing to become the world's most fascinating tourist port, nestled between the vestiges of my Rome, the Renaissance walls and buildings, ready to welcome other jewels of luxury and the technology moored to its quays. There, on what became known as the Molo del Bicchieri, the Glass's Quay, a museum of the sea is to be built that will become a showpiece not just for the port, but for the entire city of Civitavecchia. Every day, the Oceanarium will bring to life the age-old relationship between man and the sea, between Rome and the Mare Nostrum, Mediterranean Sea, from the Tiber to Hispania, and as far away as Egypt, putting forward once again the entire civilized world in the capital of the empire, concentrating in one single place the impressions and the panoramas from Rome to as far away as Gaul and Britannia, from Thrace to the Red Sea. It's a unique journey between peoples and society, ecosystems and different species, and between education, history, science, research and conservation, with one single common denominator: the Mediterranean and the miracle of life, both above and below the water, that is perpetuated through history, and scrolling through the new and old images of Centum Coeli, of Civitavecchia, of the port of the once great Rome, of what it is today, and what it will be. I too feel the enthusiasm of youth coursing through my veins. Together, we will project history into the future, working day after day to win this most important battle, that is, that of leaving a better world for our children. We will do it together, building our project brick after brick, just like a legion ready to take up a battle formation for this country that deserves more for the history and the name it bears. And so, if you like this idea, if you are with us, if you truly believe that Rome's port is the capital of the Mediterranean, and that from here, today, a new grand project is set to get underway. Then, just as the Roman generals used to scream at their legionnaires before the more difficult battles, I say to you, on my command, unleash hell!